What's up, everybody? It has been a few weeks for us. I am your host, Brett Legassi. With me, as always, is Pizza Eating Dave Stager. He's not living up to his steak and cheese. Thank you for tuning in to Huddle Up and Wait. Sorry we've been out a little bit. We've had a couple issues, personally and medically. So we're human. We don't get paid to do this, unfortunately, Bobby. But we're back, and we miss you guys. We're sorry we weren't here to catch up on all of the trade news. There's so much that went around. Evan, we missed you too. Josh, welcome to the network. If you haven't caught up with Josh Wingate and Josh Kimmel, please do on their new show. They're such a big addition to our family and our network. I can't wait to have them join us sometime soon. So
wrestling.
Yes. Wrestling is making a comeback with Triple H taking over WWE. AEW's already
Road Dogg is like the talent guy for HBK's a talent guy in WWE. Like DX is running the entire WWE.
And you can kind of tell it with the whole, I haven't even been following all that closely, but you see like the heels with the Rhea Ripley and Rey Mysterio's son and all these different factions that, dude, it reminds you when you used to watch as a kid. I just even seeing clips. I haven't been able to watch much, but I'm excited just for the future generations to maybe have wrestling like we did growing up. But
yes, Josh, singlet wrestling all day long, headgear, everything. Come on, let's go, baby.
Kurt Angle. So there's a lot to catch up on around the news. We're not even going to cover all the trades and everything because that's kind of like behind us now. You know how, but
oh yeah, 2 weeks late.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. We'll catch up around,
guys. It's my problem.
We'll catch up around the league first with Dave, and then we have some news to cover. Some big. I think we all saw that coming, but let's go around the league first.
Well, around the league with the news, folks. Biggie, Frank Reich, boom. Canned.
Yeah.
He's gone, replaced. We all thought it'd be someone in the house.
Oh, they dropped us a part-time. That's what it was.
Stop it, guys. Jim Irsay pulls a rabbit out of a hat and goes, guys, you gotta believe this. Jeff Saturday's the new interim head coach. And we're like, what? He was an analyst for ESPN, a former center. I'm not knocking him. He was an awesome center when he played.
Right.
But he has no play calling experience. He has no coaching experience. Right. This is a full tank move, Brett.
And he's a hell of a leader, but I mean, like, what are you expecting out of this? And then like Reggie Wayne, who a lot of people said was more qualified. If you're going to go a former player, I'd just go with the guy who's already been coaching. And it's a full tank move. That's what it feels like.
I'm just sitting there looking around the room. Like when I found that, I'm like, is this like a spam account? Did someone pay $8 to get verified and put this out? But nope. Jeff Saturday is your new interim head coach for 2022. It's a tank job, folks. The Colts need a QB. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud is sitting up there, so they're gonna go. Mm-hmm. They're gonna go up there and try and get one of those two QBs.
Yeah, and the thing is with the Colts, if you look at their roster, and not so much this year, but like their roster is not far from competing. They are a legitimately textbook quarterback away kind of team. Yeah, they need like a little bit of tweaks here and there, but their core of their team, their offensive line, their defensive line, their front seven, the core of their team is there. Their secondary is solid. It's not great, but it's solid. Their running backs are a beast. They have good receivers. Like they honestly get the quarterback and maybe a playmaker at receiver, and all of a sudden this team is like competing, and they were close to competing anyway with that defense. So it's like Frank Reich, I think, kind of fell on the sword. I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he'll land on his feet. And to be honest with you, I think he might be a head coach again very soon. We'll see.
He should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he will. Maybe not next year, but I think he'll land on his feet. It'll be Doug Peterson landing on his feet. And also, I think Frank Reich, who was on that same staff as Doug Peterson, and everybody thinks that Frank Reich was a big part of it. I think he'll land on his feet. He'll get an offensive coordinator job for a year or two. Then he'll be a head coach again very shortly. And I don't think it was all his fault. I do think it was a little bit of him saying, yeah, we can win with these older quarterbacks. So, no, I like Frank Reich, but I do understand the firing. This is one of those ones where I understand just starting, like, moving on at the same time.
To me, Chris Ballard deserves a little bit more blame than what Reich you said fell on the sword. Because Ballard's the one who didn't go and get the QBs. Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, like,
he gave up like first-round picks and second-round picks. He gave up. What did he give up for?
He gave up 2/3 for Matt Ryan, and then gave up something else for Carson Wentz along those lines.
I thought he gave up a first for Carson Wentz.
I'd have to go back and look, but I know I think it was 2/3 for Matt Ryan this past offseason. And I think it was a second or a
So
third.
he gave up a
Carson Wentz.
2022 second, 47th overall, 2022 seventh. That's not terrible, because the Dolphins
No,
did give
it's
up a
not.
second for an extra second that they had for Josh Rosen. So
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
didn't
it's
use
not
their
like a
only second.
terrible,
Yeah,
right?
but still, you went and wasted draft capital. You could have built this team up
Right.
with still to keep it going on top of the talent it already has.
Mm-hmm.
For QBs who just were too old, like Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers are having a Walker
Oh
race right
shit! I
now
forgot
because
about
how
Philip
old they are.
Rivers. Yeah, yeah, and it's guys past their prime, and
I mean,
so.
I don't know. I'm gonna wait and see. CJ Stroud, Bryce
Mm-hmm.
Young. I mean, part of me wants
But
Green
it
Bay to
sucks
go ahead and
because
tank.
Frank Reich had a 43-33-1 record, right? Something like that. He had a winning record with quarterbacks past their prime, like with the retirement home at quarterback and Carson Wentz, who was trying to redeem. Like he was respectable as a head coach. He had a winning record.
What did I just read? We could get about 3 firsts for Tua right. Get off your high horse.
There's
And get
no
out of
way.
Here.
Although, like, I thought the Dolphins and they're offering that shit. 3 first-round picks for a quarterback. I'm going to consider that.
If someone offers it, take it and run. That's a steal. You get that. Take it and run. Go. But he is nowhere near worth that. I'm sorry.
No.
Sorry, fans. Tua is not worth even one first.
Let's be fair. To be really fair, though, not a lot of quarterbacks in this league are worth 3 first-round picks.
No, Russell wasn't, and Denver just gave up 3 firsts for him.
Right? Yeah. So, that's dumb. Like, so, not a lot of quarterbacks are worth 3 first-round picks. I'm going to have to 100% agree.
1 first-round pick right now. If you traded him last year, Denver offered the same thing for Russell, and Green Bay turned him down twice.
So, real quick on Frank Reich, he's 40-33-1. He was 10-6, 7-9, 11-5, 9-8, and then this year was 9-5-1. And now they missed playoffs
every season.
First year, 2 playoff games, he was 1-1. The next year, 1 playoff game, 0-1. So he's had 3 playoff games, and was 1-2 in those games. Okay, whatever. I mean, not great numbers at all. But Frank Reich had a winning season all but 2 of his years. So even at that, he was 3-5-1. So it sucks because I feel like we've seen coaches like that have a good team and then stick around. I mean, look how long the Bengals kept Marvin Lewis around, and nobody questioned
average play, just
right. And they were
a
good team. Like Marvin Lewis, good team, get to the playoffs, average team. Like just couldn't make that next step.
It wasn't 1. It was 4 average seasons in a row.
Right, yeah, but the Bengals are patient with him. I just wish the Colts could have just said, you know what, let's go all in for our quarterback this year. I would have just said, you know what, at this point, go just start players. It doesn't matter. Let's just see what we got with these backups, and if you lose games, lose games. But let's just go all out the rest of the year. And if we lose games, we'll go get our quarterback. Or I would trade everything the next couple first round picks to move up to get our quarterback if need be. But yeah, it's a shame.
Teams right now that would need him, and you know who he'd fit in well with, especially if you go to a young QB. Frank Reich in Carolina could make sense.
Oh God, yeah, for real. I'd love to see Frank Reich go to a team that has a good quarterback that needs offensive coordinator. But yeah, Frank Reich going to the Panthers makes a ton of sense.
Maybe he could accept to be an OC again instead of taking on that head coach burden.
He might.
Just to take that step back. The Bears, no. They're actually starting to look good.
Evan, you said Tomlin. Now, yes, the Bears, as Alex is saying, do make sense, obviously, because his former defense coordinator is there. Matt Eberflus could give him the job as an OC if he can't find another one. But the Steelers
starting to work.
Well, hold on now. The Steelers. Evan
mentioned
Tomlin. No. Not his head coach, his offensive coordinator.
Oh, get rid of Matt Canada.
Yeah, they're having problems with Matt Canada. Players don't like him. Frank Reich would run the style offense with Kenny Pickett. That would be.
I take Reich over LaFleur? Hell no. LaFleur has 3 13-winning seasons before this season. I'm not. Reich is.
Oh, as a head coach.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm about to say as a play caller.
As an OC, maybe. As an OC, yes. But as an overall head coach, LaFleur's done a great job with
I like LaFleur as a head coach. I'm still not sold on play caller. I think, but Frank Reich is a proven play caller though, with a Super Bowl under his belt as a play caller. So
if Reich came to us right now, and I've said that on my Twitter, if if we placed him as
Possibly, yeah.
Offensive coordinator, I'm doing it in a heartbeat.
A heartbeat. Like I'd hire him right now as offensive coordinator.
Tampa Bay, no. Byron Leftwich is a hell of an offensive coordinator. I like the idea, but Byron, they're dealing with a lot of crap right now. Brady has like 4 replacements in front of him right now on offensive line. Tennessee, yes, they need
now. You know who I would like to see, and it's not going to happen. Sorry, Josh, I'm just throwing this out there. Dallas hire him as a head coach. It's not going to happen because of Dallas having a good season and all that stuff. But you know, Dan Quinn,
he's a Jerry guy. He's not going to leave.
Oh yeah, Dan Quinn's a big reason why they're winning there, though. That defense is so good. I mean, New England is the type of team that hires guys like that. I mean, I don't really see it so much. But no, Frank Reich will land on his feet. I said it as soon as I saw that. I posted on my Facebook. He'll land on his feet. It's the first thing that came to my mind.
Dennis Allen's a defensive-minded head coach. Bringing him into New Orleans, there you go. They need an OC there.
Well, they got Carmichael, who's been the OC for a long time, but he was never calling the play as Sean Payton was.
No,
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you this right now. If I'm a team looking for a head coach, Panthers, I'm looking at Frank Reich already. If I'm the Panthers, I'm calling Frank Reich and Sean Payton. I have them ready to go. I want to interview them as soon as possible because they're free agent coaches.
D'Amico Ryan's is my option as well there because he has proven to be a heck of a.
And I got no problem with D'Amico Ryan's either. I'm just saying, as a team like the Colts, if I'm the Colts, I'm getting Sean Payton on there. I'm just saying, like, there's so many like teams. If I'm a team that's looking as a head coach, or if I'm like questioning my head coach, I'm looking right at Frank Reich. Like, you know what? I'll give him another chance. Come here. We'll get you the quarterback you need, or if we already have it, great. You know, I'm looking at it like, you know what? I question my coach, and we got the quarterback. I think we're good. I'll get him in here. One thing I'd like to see though is the divorce between Aaron Rodgers and the Packers could be coming. Aaron Rodgers has always talked about how he loves the West Coast offense and how the offense he's in, even though it's originally was derived from a verse of the West Coast, but has changed drastically because of the motions and all that. I could see Rodgers wanting to team up with Reich somewhere. That could be huge.
So Rodgers isn't leaving Green Bay, especially after a bad season. You want to know why? He's too egotistical to quit on a bad season to end his career, especially when he said he wants to remain a Packer.
I mean,
I don't see him leaving because the Packers, if they trade him, they take a $90 million dead cap hit and another $60 million.
They can maneuver that money with a trade.
I'm telling you, no.
But, I mean,
I've already looked. I have already looked. Believe me, I've looked. The only way they can get out of his contract if he retires, and then Packers are free of $60 million due to him in 2023. There's no way if they cut him, trade him, post market to June 1st, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. They eat $90 million dead cap. And in 2024, it gets even worse. Rodgers has Green Bay by the balls.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they signed the contract too, so that was their fault.
The only way they free up cap is if he retires. He gets to play GM, head coach, everything. So if he says, I want a guy, they're going to go try and get him, whatever. Anyway, more NFL news. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. There's a lot to talk about Frank Reich. I'm glad we got into that.
It hurts me with what's going on with Green Bay and all the tension. Anyways, Raiders cut Jonathan Abram. Packers claimed him. They were higher pecking order than most teams that wanted him, so they went ahead and grabbed him. Chargers just cut Jerry Tillery, a defensive lineman. His first 2 years, he was playing great.
Yeah.
This year, it's kind of gotten rough, but maybe a new system, if he gets picked up, can help benefit him because I like Tillery out of the draft. I don't know about you, Brett, but Tillery was a really good man coming out of the draft.
He had like everything you wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Size, athleticism, but it's just not really doing much with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's one of those guys where it's just a conundrum. Like,
oops, sorry. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Matt Stafford, on top of having his elbow issue with a severe tendonitis in his UCL, has a concussion protocol going on. Hasn't practiced in the past 2 days since practice opened back up for the Rams. Keep your eye on that one. They play the Cardinals, and Kyler Murray also has an injury, but I believe he had a limited participation today, which shows it could be Kyler Murray versus John Wolford this weekend. Josh Allen had a partial slight tear in his UCL, also a sprain in his UCL, hasn't practiced the past 2 days. So we'll see.
Well,
Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, both went to IR for the Raiders.
yeah.
Stick a fork in Las Vegas. I know they have
Stick a
Adam.
fork in my fantasy team with Renfro. Oh wait, he's been
Good
killing me ever
Lord. I
since.
took Waller in 2 of my leagues.
Dude, I got Renfro thinking, I got a good receiver that's a high volume guy. He's a guy with Adams there. He's going to get a lot of catches in a PPR league. It's going to be a sneaky later get. No, shit.
Cap for life. That's the same thing that's going on with Matt Stafford. His UCL has so bad tendonitis right now. His first half of games look awesome because he's on painkillers. The second half, he looks horrible because those painkillers wear off, and he isn't able to go through a full game.
See,
it's
this
the
is
same
where
exact thing.
This is where that treatment that Stafford got in the offseason comes in handy. That PRP would be good for, hey, Allen, get the PRP. It'll last you to the end of the season with a little bit of pain treatment. At the end of the season, you get the surgery. You'll be back by the regular season. You're good to go.
Yeah.
But instead, now he's doing damage. Stafford's doing damage to it. So
I think it's for the last 3 years.
Yeah, and look, they're willing to bench him. I'm starting to have questions about the Shanahan tree with the whole how they handle injuries and players, mainly at quarterback.
Well, first conservative. He will sit people.
Except for quarterback.
I mean, why? Because Rodgers' thumb?
No, Rodgers' thumb is one of them.
What else would he...
No, look at the other tree. Look at the McVay and Stafford. Refuses to tell the Ford to shut him down.
Yeah, but LaFleur sat Rodgers before. He's had to.
And Tua should have sat at the after that whole head injury. Then he got hurt again. So it's I'm starting to wonder if they feel the pressure with the quarterback position too much. It just
I can see what you're saying. There's a little bit of a track record not starting to build, but that's also Stafford being too dumb for his own good.
Yeah, but that's where. So players are going to want to play no matter what, and that's where your players. That's where you're going to want to shut players down. That's where your coach is supposed to say, "Hey, you're done. I'm the one in between here. Shut it down."
Are you guys seriously talking about CFL in our chat right now? We're trying to talk about the NFL. God. Anyways, Micah Parsons and Zeke Elliott are recruiting OBJ to Dallas pretty hard on social media. OBJ has not said no. He's like, all right, what do we need to add?
He'd be stupid to say no. You got to keep your options open. At the end of the day, in this point of his career, he's won a Super Bowl. It's get paid. You're young.
Steelers plays kicker Chris Boswell on IR. If it hasn't already gotten bad enough for the Steelers already this year, man, they lose their solid kicker that they've had there for a long time. And he's one of the few kickers that have had that sustained success in that stadium with the winds coming off and everything.
Quietly, too. He's been quietly good.
Yes.
He's not a household kicker name. He's been good and reliable for a long time.
If you're a kicker and your name isn't coming up in the news, it's usually for something bad. That means you're doing a good job.
Well, that's true. That's fair. Unless your last name is Tucker.
Brandon Cooks frustrated with Houston brass. He has been because he wanted to get traded, but it's also this not winning that's been going on. Houston's been getting beat a lot this season. I thought they're going to be a little more fight in their system. I know they're young. I understand Lovey's taking over his first year as a head coach again, and I mean, I get it. Brandon Cooks is a veteran. He wants to go to a winning team.
He wants to win. He's not getting any younger. I mean, he's still not old yet. What is
29 years old, so he's got maybe 2-3 years left. So after this year, he'll probably be released.
I mean, he's played for New Orleans from 14 to 16, traded to New England from 17, or played in 17 there, played in 18 with the Rams, played 19 with the Rams, and he's played for Houston ever since. And he's had 6 1,000-yard seasons out of 9, and this year is not on pace for 1,000 yards whatsoever in 7 games. So, and he's very capable of doing it. So it's just I get why he's frustrated. He wants out of there. They're in a sense just kind of saying whatever, let's just tank or whatever they're doing, or just kind of. We're just kind of going to keep building this thing and be impatient. But guys like him want to get out. He's not a long-term piece for them. They should have lowered their asking price and just traded him.
Bingo. And they could have. The thing is, teams would have paid. I was hearing teams offered have second, third for him.
I'd have taken that in a heartbeat.
a package deal and to want the new team to take on some of his contract of the next year and dead cap and this year. And I'm like,
if somebody offered me a second,
works.
if I'm the Texans and you offer me a second right now for Brandon Cooks, I think Brandon Cooks is a good receiver. But my long-term success, Brandon Cooks is not in it. And that's not a knock on Brandon Cooks. He's 29 years old.
They don't want to look bad because of the DeAndre Hopkins trade. Yeah, that's what it is.
I would hate this. I would absolutely hate this. Imagine if he got traded to the Jets or Bills or back to the Patriots, and just giving them that, setting them up a little bit more, or the Packers. You know what I mean? Like, imagine him going to a team that needs a receiver. Imagine him going to the Packers. Like, holy shit! Like, now all of a sudden the Packers got a playmaker. You know, that could change some things. There's so many teams that Brandon Cooks could have been like that piece to set them over to make them more competitive. And, you know, it's just like Dallas could have used them too. You know, so
that was close to happening. Dallas and Houston were so close. It was this close to happening, folks. And Cooks would have went to Dallas. You would have had Gallup, Cooks, and Lamb. Would have been a nightmare trio because Cooks isn't just a zero route guy. He can run the whole route tree.
Right.
He can do everything.
He's so underrated. He kind of, at this point, and it's funny because of his size and stature and the way he plays, kind of reminds you of Santana Moss and Lavernius Coles. Two guys
Antonio Brown, same size.
Yeah. You know, like, but more like the reason I say Santana Moss is because he was so underrated in his career. He was so good, but so underrated. No one talked about him, but he was always open, was a very good route runner. Wasn't a big guy, but he was so fast and so sudden. And that's Cooks. Cooks is so good, and he's put up sneaky production, and no one talks about it. And he's a guy that can help. He could have helped Dallas, Green Bay, Patriots, Jets, Bills. You know, there's a lot of teams that he could have went to, and it would have been good for him.
Jets would have been nasty because you could have had Wilson, you could have had Davis and Cooks as kind of that triple threat.
And I'm going to be honest. At the end of the day, I think the Texans. I think he's still under contract. Texans going to trade him at the end of the year. They're going to get less than what they would have got midseason. Yep. So they're stupid for it, in my opinion. Unless something stupid happens, like what was it, Christian Kirk going to the Jaguars, getting paid what he got paid, and then all of a sudden teams are like, "Oh, I'm going to trade for Tyreek Hill. I'm going to trade for AJ Brown. You know, I'm just going to go ahead and trade for these guys because if I'm going to pay a receiver top-notch money, I'm going to go ahead and get a receiver that's worth top-notch money, like AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill.
Paying 17, 18 million per year. Christian Kirk isn't the guy you think of.
Right, exactly. And it's like, well, I'm going to go get the Tyreeks, the AJ Browns, you know. So that could change things. But no, I think Brandon Cooks the Texans didn't do themselves any favors.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. It's just, I saw that. I couldn't have the
what wide receiver holds the record for most receivers in the Dolphin game? He has a connection with Ohio State. It's not Ted Ginn. Can't be Ted Ginn. Brian Hartline, because he had 212 yards, I think.
Old Brian Hartline. Maybe I thought didn't he go to New England at the end of his career, then retire?
Cleveland,
that's where it went. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just remember he always got hurt. Like he'd have a really good game and then have a solid season somewhat, and then
he was Mr. Reliable, man. As far as like when he was on the field, and he was our only receiver in 2012. But he was good. Like he did his job. But
big topic we got to cover because it came out today. It's been kind of burning on the back burner, a little bit of the stove for the NFL the past couple of weeks. Dan Snyder, the NFL, the Commanders, Roger Goodell are being sued by the D.C. Attorney General, Mr. Racine, for colluding to cover up basically the unhealthy work environment, aka sexual assault, sexual abuse by these people. And Brett, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. You know who I think he has in his back pocket that the NFL blackballed 100% and you don't hear their names anymore? I'll give you one guess. Who do you think this guy has in his pocket that I think can turn this on the Commanders, NFL, everything, that were used as a scapegoat, even though he was wrong for what he said? But I'm going to let Stu on it.
Oh, you talking about Gruden?
Not just one Gruden. I think Jay Gruden and John Gruden, both, because remember, he was employed with Snyder. Mm-hmm. He saw all this happen in the workplace.
Well, So, all right, we're getting ready to go the ground and bread gears on this one because what
Yes.
like frustrated me so bad with that whole thing when Gruden with the email. Look, and this is from someone. My brother is gay, right? He came out when I was in middle school, and I lived in a small redneck town. I caught so much shit for it, but it never changed how I viewed my brother, right? And we all grew up. No one ever really bothered me anymore. I accepted my brother for who he was. I didn't give a shit about it.
Yeah.
So him using that term is not okay. All right,
Oh
but
God, no.
right. So I'm not sticking up for that.
No, he was
However,
100% wrong for what he said.
somebody using foul language or derogatory language in the sense that he did is far less egregious than what the commanders in Snyder has done and have been accused of doing in the sexual assault, the sexual
tied to Jeffrey Epstein's child sex ring.
right,
He's
like,
been attached to
and then
that.
you heard the stories that the cheerleaders had a topless photo shoot, which is not unheard of. A lot of the cheerleaders do that, and it's a lot of them say it's like very confident, inspiring for them.
Paid
And
extra cash for the cheerleaders to escort CEOs
yeah,
on
and
his
then he had
planes
it
and
set up
everything.
to where and now it's usually done on a private beach where the only people available are the cheerleading coach and people involved in the photographers. That's
Yep.
it. And that way it's a nice, safe, comforting thing for these women. Because I'm gonna tell you, if that's my daughter, I don't care how much money Snyder has, it wouldn't have kept him safe from me. So, like, that kind of shit is disgusting. But he had guys watching these women do that from a distance, and then he was having the cheerleaders giving them a little extra money to escort them, like you were saying.
Yep.
That's freaking. He's literally doing prostitution and the sexual harassment, the sexual. All the shit he's done is just flipping disgusting.
Secretaries in the Washington Post article,
Yep.
I may interrupt you, but they came out and
Good.
said how they were being treated by these people that all of a sudden retired from the Washington Commanders
Right.
team. Even the radio guy, what's his name? I can't remember his name.
I don't remember his
radio
name.
call that's been there for 25 years, retired because these allegations came out.
Bruce Allen. All of a sudden, like, just steps down, steps away. He was the guy that was a power thirsty guy. He wanted to be the one calling the shots and all this stuff, and he steps away. All the coaches that they've had, like, just kind of agree to step down, like Gibbs the second time. It's been a lot of wishy-washy stuff. Snyder, and I'm not the one thing I did agree with Snyder is he wants to pull the wool out from under everybody, expose everybody. Well, good, because you're still a dirtbag, but pull out and show everybody else that's a dirtbag. I get it. But, like, for me, I don't, I've said it before, and it sucks. But the league we cheer for, the players we root for, play for owners who do not really care about the people that they employ.
They think they're above the law. Everybody else, they don't think laws apply.
And if you took the money away from athletes in professional sports, if you took the amount of money that they make, the amount of people who want to play in the league for the passion of it would be gone. Like, nobody, there'd be so many less people doing it. You think they would want to play for someone who just pays them?
100%.
Right. I'm not playing football for a guy who pays me what I get paid to do what I do now. I'll tell you that much. As much as I love football, would love to play football, I couldn't do it for that kind of money with all the health costs, put my body on the line and everything. And then the rest, I won't be able to play 10 years and I got to start over the rest of my life. Is like, I got to wait till I'm 50 to collect retirement, which is, so Rob Gronkowski's brother, Chris, the one that was a fullback, he does a lot of cool stuff on TikTok talking about a player answering questions. And he talked about retirements at 40. There's age things like 45, 50, and 65, kind of like the military retirements. You got to wait till a certain age to collect, like in the reserves. The military, you got to wait till you're 60 to collect. So, like, 10 years, I'm like 33 years old or whatever. And now I got to wait, another 30 years before I can collect retirement. Now I'm supposed to do the rest of my life. So, yeah, no one's playing for what we make in the middle class. You know what I mean? So, like, these owners just think because they pay these guys really good money that it's worth something, and they're not even guaranteeing them money. That's the thing. Like, I don't care like how much money it is. Go look at it. Someone just broke down Josh Allen's contract and how much he gets paid and how much he pays in taxes. He pays $20 million in taxes. That's more than me and you will ever pay in taxes, ever. You and I will never in our lifetime pay $20 million in taxes making what we make now. So that's a lot of money that comes out of their check. And then the owners like get out of paying those taxes because they put their money here and there and they invest. And then these guys that play, it's like, $100 million contract. but you didn't follow these little itty bitty things. You have all these little increments shit to fall through. Okay, you are only going to get about 45 million to 100 million. So it's just these owners are just complete dirtbags. From not all of them, there's some good owners in the league. I'm not going to say that, but some of these owners that are dirtbags need to go. And Snyder is the king of them all. Washington fans are ashamed of their team because he is the owner. I know people who would not root for this team because of him as the owner. My father, who's Native American, said that after he changes his name, if he changes the name, he's done rooting for the team. He said because if he changes the name and changes the mascot that's no longer representative of Native American, he's done. He said because he has no other representative across the league now, other than maybe the Chiefs. He has no representatives anywhere. So we're just going to get rid of it. He goes, fine, I'm done. And he has nothing to do with Dan Snyder. He can't stand him for how he treats women, how he's treated the business. And it's just absolutely disgusting to treat cheerleaders who are already kind of sexualized anyway, to treat them as if they're just objects for his rich buddies. It's just.
So I have more details on this of what. So this is where I look at it from taking a step back, and this has got some serious weight to it because the Washington D.C. Attorney General is not just going to up on a limb and go, "Hey, we're suing the NFL. We're going to sue Dan Snyder. We're going to sue the Commanders. We're going to sue Roger Goodell." He's not going to do that unless he has physical, hard evidence to do that. That's the Attorney General of Washington, D.C., folks. That's not just some low-level Attorney General of a small city or town.
Right, yeah.
This is D.C.
He is the Attorney General. Right.
So with this, there's been reports that Snyder and Goodell have colluding efforts to intimidate witnesses to back out of the stand to make sure the NFL doesn't be drugged down by this. Schneider's doing this to protect himself. He's doing this to make sure he doesn't have to sell his team.
Oh, yeah.
Goodell's attached to this now. It doesn't matter if he's attached to this 100% now because now he's being sued. Like, in name. It wasn't just the NFL.
Well, back to the email scandal. Goodell said, well, that's all they found in it. There's nothing else. Okay, we fired Gruden, or Gruden got fired. Okay, we're all done now.
Gruden brother as a scapegoat.
That's why. Exactly. And I stood there and said it's complete bullshit. Gruden made vulgar statements. Okay, he got what was coming to him and everything. He stepped down all this stuff. Okay.
100%, Josh. There's definitely some more weight. That's why this attorney general's going after him.
But then I said it then, and everybody said it. Right. That's all they found in those emails. Thousands and thousands and thousands of emails and accusations.
60,000 emails or
and
something
all
like
you found was derogatory comments sent back and forth with Gruden and all. Like, really?
No,
there's
way worse stuff.
Right, that's ridiculous. Like, there's way worse going on, but Goodell did help him clean it up. I've told people before, Goodell is not a good person.
There's okay, Josh's comment. I have a feeling Snyder isn't the biggest issue in this. I think Snyder's the one who's half-assedly falling on the sword. So, yes, I agree with you because you have guys like Jerry Jones. You have guys like Robert Kraft all attached to this. All of them. They're all in that little ring.
Robert Kraft already got busted. He got busted.
No, he was just dumb because I'm sorry, you're a billionaire. Why are you going to a public masseuse when you can just order one?
And then they're going to find out that, there was a rumor that one of the owners was trying to help Deshaun Watson pay hush money to these people. And it's not the only owners that have done it.
Oh, there's everything.
Because all they care about is winning. That's it. They care about the money, the jersey sales, the ticket sales. They care about all the money and revenue.
It exposed too much. The Rock got in trouble from the NFL about this because he didn't get permission about certain things to use, and that's why I got shut down.
I'm telling you, and I hate to say this, but this is the world we live in. Like, it's just like Dave and I being in the military and finding out the people that we vote for are just as corrupt as the criminals. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like it's true. And they treat us like a piece of meat. Like, Dave, you going through the VA? I go to the VA to go get to ask how to get started collecting stuff. And luckily, everything went smooth for me because unfortunately, it hasn't always gone smooth for everybody. My father was in Vietnam. It took forever. It took almost 40 years to get any coverage. And like, they treated me like I was a freaking idiot and like a moron for not having all of my paperwork. And I said, I don't know where my paperwork is. I was abruptly separated. And they treated me like a piece of meat. That's how these owners view their players and fans. They just view you as money and cash bags.
Underneath them.
Yep. You're just people that you're just a herd of cattle. That's it.
Your inventory. That's what
Yeah.
you want.
And that's why I compared it to the military, because that's how they made us feel like you're replaceable. Somebody
You
else
think
be wearing that
generals
same
and all these
uniform.
other people care about us? No.
Right. So it's the same thing with these owners. They don't give two shits about the players. There's a handful that do. There are a handful of owners that actually do give two shits, but most of them just care about the winning and the money. So.
All I'm going to say, too, is the fact that Josh's comments, our comments, like, to me, this whole thing, I don't care what the result is on it after, Goodell needs to be removed. He's been attached to this issue for far too long and handling it. Now he's being accused of intimidating witnesses along with Dan Snyder. No.
Well, look at the whole every single time. Here's my biggest issue with Goodell: the Ray Rice situation. All right,
or
the debacle. And I'm sorry, but Ray Rice got double jeopardy suspended. Don't get me wrong; he should have got more than 2 games. But you already made that commitment. It's not Ray Rice's fault he got 2 games. You know what I mean? So right. So then you went, oh, we fucked up. Now I'm going to go. No. You own that. You come out and say he should have been suspended more. And then the Ravens could have said, you know what? You suspend him 2. We feel he should be sitting out for 2 more at least, or so whatever the Ravens feel. But like, he has screwed up the suspensions. He's made gambling on the game, steroids or performance enhancers, and marijuana uses.
Weed. Josh Gordon's career's been ruined because of it.
Right. Weed, performance enhancers, and gambling has been more harshly punished, and not even like double or appealed. But abusing women is kind of like, it's 4 games. It's 2 games. And then like the optics of everything, he tries to like change it. Oh, well, someone else did it now. It's not my fault. So the whole Deshaun Watson thing, then he says, oh, we went and appealed it and we got him more games. Like
Josh, I can't say that. Jerry, how do you think Michael Irvin got out of all those cocaine charges in the 90s?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, yeah, these owners pay for things to disappear. It's just the way. That's the way of life. Money talks. That's the way it's always going to be. Like you get accusations happen. I mean, Jim Irsay he's the one that got driving drunk in a DUI. And how do you suspend an owner? You know what I mean? So like he got a slap on the wrist, but a player does that. And look how bad. Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Henry Ruggs is demonized for getting drunk and driving a car and wrecking, right? And rightfully so. He really screwed up. He's a grown man. He knew better. He's a millionaire. He had
he killed someone on top of it because of his
actions. He had plenty of money to call an Uber to do it. Jim Irsay got caught driving drunk. He had and he was really intoxicated. He could have killed somebody. And yet no one talks about like how dangerous what he did was. But when a player gets a DUI, it's all over the news, constantly over the news, and then it's held against that player for like the rest of his career. Oh, have you grown up? Imagine getting a DUI and you go in as a free agent and you're going to the Colts and the GM and the coach are like, you got a DUI back in the day or a couple years ago. We're thinking about signing you, but have you grown up since that point? Like the owner you work for, you're asking me if I've grown up a 22, 20, someone in my mid 20s, and you got a grown ass man in his 60s, 70s that gets drunk and gets a DUI, and you're worried about me? Like, what the fuck?
Part of that upper ring, buddy.
I'm just saying, like, imagine that. Like, it's insane. So to me, it's just like these guys are hypocrites. All the owners deserve everything that's coming their way. So I hope they get smoked in the media. I hope they get drugged through the mud. And I hope everything gets exposed. And I hope Goodell is the one that really falls on the sword, because I think he's been cleaning up the shit for years. And I think the reason he keeps getting extended is because he's in the owner's pocket, because he makes the owner so much money.
Making $5, $6, $7 million bonuses. And Josh is right. Jerry's the only owner that fought him for getting his bonus because of what other stuff he's been involved in.
Right. But Jerry was pissed off about how he suspended his guys too, though. So, I mean, Jerry did have some personal reasons.
It wasn't just that. He's been doing this for years, even before the suspensions. He wanted Goodell not to get the extra money because of the fact that it's coming out of the owner's pockets. I mean, on top of it, I get because it's the owner's pockets, but still, I don't know. I just think that it's all one nasty circle. Yes, there are some good owners. You know who else is involved probably in all this that no one's being mentioned? Excuse me, folks. Stan Kroenke. That
Yeah.
dude, he pulled the rug out from St. Louis and hadn't paid a dime back yet.
Dude, and the screwed up part was, and I didn't know this, the city of St. Louis is like, yeah, we'll build you a team or a stadium. The city of St. Louis, the taxpayers were even like okay with it. Like the taxpayers even voted for it. Like they're like, yeah, we're down for this. Like, even though the other part is owners,
involved.
the owners freaking use taxpayers' money for salaries and everything else. So that's another story. But they were willing to do it. He took some of the money that St. Louis gave him, went to LA, and hasn't paid any of it back. Like, what is that? And he get away with it. But what pisses me off the most about that is the city of St. Louis gave him that money.
Yeah.
Okay. So where does the city of St. Louis get that money? They get that from their taxpayers, and Kroenke doesn't pay it back. So guess who foots that bill to pay it back to the city? The taxpayers, the everyday people, the people like us that have to pay that back. So this money doesn't just appear, guys. So when a city or a town or a state is giving a football team money to build a stadium, it comes out of your pocket for your taxpayer money. So when Stephen Ross asked the city of Miami to give him money towards his stadium, they said no. He had to put it out of pocket. One, I applauded him for saying, hey, that's fine. I'll do it out of pocket. I'm sure he got investors to help, but he didn't need money from the city to do it.
It's hard for him to get that money.
Well, yeah, but I'm like, you didn't need the money from the city because that's taxpayers' money. And don't tell me, well, it goes back to the city. No, it doesn't.
Josh, a lot of owners were involved in that Rams issue. A lot. It wasn't just Jerry.
Oh, no, it wasn't. There was a lot going on.
I think they needed 75% of the owners in the league to sign off on it for them to move.
Well, so the whole thing was Roger Goodell, shock, was pushing for a team in LA because LA is a great football team, a great football city. They've moved out of LA how many times? Why? Because the fans, I'm not saying LA fans aren't legit, but a lot of the people in LA, they love baseball and basketball. They show out for baseball and basketball. They never really showed out for football. They just weren't big football fans, and that's okay. There's cities like that. They're bigger in another sport than they are one. So it's not like Philadelphia where if it's a Philadelphia sport, they're diehard into it. LA is kind of finicky about that. That it's okay.
But the NFL is big enough. You have 8 divisions. You can create 8 teams in the NFL with cities that are big enough. In my opinion,
yes,
and especially with states that don't have teams for 2 or 3 in a row, you can put a damn state. I guarantee you, Iowa is begging for a team with Iowa Hawkeyes, Iowa State Cyclones. You're telling me they don't want a freaking team there,
right?
Like just stuff like that is what makes me mad because you can have 8 teams. Guess what? It'll raise more money for the NFL on top of that, and now you took the Chargers, which used to be beloved in San Diego, the Rams, who were beloved in St. Louis.
Oh God, were they?
2 Hearts fan bases out and put them,
and you put them back to LA. And LA loves they love
Delaware,
the Rams.
Really, Josh.
We can't afford it.
What is it? The Dover Dogs?
We don't have any room for it, Josh. I don't want to pay the taxes
right outside the NFL Raceway.
But you could almost put another team in Maryland. Oh, of course, technically, I mean, you almost got 2 there, but there's other places that could afford a team, could use a team that but why go to LA? St. Louis loved their Rams.
Should get a team if they expanded out another team in each division.
St. Louis
would be one of the first spots.
And St. Louis had the most success with Kurt Warner and them in St. Louis, or the Rams in St. Louis. And they had the blue and gold, the toughness. They were. That was so. To me, that was the Rams. I mean, I know they were LA when I was a kid, and Eric Dickerson back in the day, but to me, the Rams I remember most was in St. Louis. They loved their team, and yes, the greatest show on turf.
Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt,
they loved their Rams, even when the Rams were bad. They loved their team.
One of the most underrated defensive linemen on the freaking planet.
Yep, man, they were London Fletcher at linebacker. Oh my God, that team was so stacked, and that was and they loved it. Even when they were bad, they loved their team. I just don't understand.
Mike Jones.
Oh my God! Oh, that was he was like what?
Name drop right there.
He was what, about 6 years precursor to that. No,
out there in the rap game, tearing people's hearts out with love, and then on top of that, making tackles in the Super Bowl.
all right, guys. Well, while we're here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Smash that like and subscribe.
Yes, please.
Share it with all your friends. For all of our veterans out there, thank you for your service. Happy Veterans Day. And don't forget about those who are no longer with us. And
Happy Veterans Day, battles.
yes. And guys, make sure you check out your brothers and sisters.
Tough time right now, folks.
22 a day is too many. And the next month is tough for everybody. You got Thanksgiving coming up, and the holidays coming up, and it's a tough time for everybody. Everybody's going through something. So make sure you check in on your battle buddies. Make sure you check on everybody. Take care of your mental health.
Check on your vets check on your civilians.
Yes, and
it's all brotherhood, sisterhood.
And mental health has been something I've been dealing with the past couple of weeks, basically my whole life. A couple of years dealing with it. So, guys, make sure you take care of your mentals as much as you take care of your body, because it doesn't work if you don't. So,
in the famous words of Marshawn, take care of your mentals and take care of your chicken. Okay,
whatever that means.
Famous words right there.
I don't know what it means, but it sounds so intelligent.
Before we run off, let's do the quick picks of the week for the top 5 games.
I'm not running off. I just wanted to give it a little stop.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, we always got love for our Veterans Day weekend around here.
Mm-hmm.
And then, hey, I'm a veteran. Not gonna lie.
And I wear my salute to service
tomorrow.
Wearing one of my older salute to service. I have every year, but the first year and last year. I didn't buy last year's. Didn't get this year's because they were already sold out. Damn it. But
they go quick. They look nice.
They go quick, but I was waiting to I was being stingy with the money, and I was like, oh, it's gone. Damn it.
Gosh, if we reach out to you, all you're going to do is show us Super Bowl highlights in Dallas. I don't want that. I don't need that in my life.
But speaking of Dallas, Game 5 or our number 5 game of the week.
Well, I'm going to cry through this one. Dallas at Green Bay. They go up to Green Bay. This is our 5th game of the week because, one, there was a lot of other games of just lower-ended teams. It's just not good. But this is a rivalry that I love. Mm-hmm. This is a renewed rivalry that I've enjoyed because Green Bay's kind of had the better of it lately. But I think Dallas is going to win here. Green Bay's dealing with too much issues. LaFleur wants to run his offense this way. Rodgers wants to run the offense this way. Defense is holding up its end and keeping Green Bay in games, but the offense just can't get it going. If there's one thing Green Bay can do, run the ball. Dallas's run defense is 27th, 28th ranked. Yeah. Run the ball.
They've had some struggles for sure.
Run the ball. And guess what? So that's my only thing for Green Bay. If you're going to try and get it together, but I got Dallas by 10 points here.
But they haven't been running the ball. I don't know Aaron Jones is missing last week, but they haven't been running the ball. This is the best part of your offense, which is weird to say with Aaron Rodgers, but I'm going Dallas as well. I think Dallas is going to win this one. They're coming off of a bye week, and they got a tough stretch, but they obviously have Dak, and they're going to be just fine. I think they're going to win this game. Especially coming off the bye. Now, if they weren't coming off
towards ACL, so a big pass rush unit just left for Green Bay, so that's another big.
Well, so what I'm saying with Dallas is they're coming off the bye, and I think that's going to be huge for them. I know some teams lose momentum, but I think the bye came right at the right time for them.
McCarthy's had this circled for 2 years now, Brett.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So this game, I think Dallas wins this game, and I think we start questioning what do the Packers do from here. And I think as someone who from the outside looking in, I started looking at Gutekunst
hey, we suck, but it's Gutekunst. You pronounce it right, goddammit.
I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at his roster. You're not far, but at what point do you say I have an aging Rodgers? I wasted a first-round pick on Love at this point. What the hell? When am I going to get weapons? I know I'm drafting 2 receivers, but you can't rely on rookies to play.
There's no fault. He could have went and traded for some, offered up the first rounder and sucked it up and overpaid for one. He could have signed him in the offseason. No.
Drafting the 2 guys you did is fine, but you have to have veterans to help. And
those are drafting developed guys for the first round.
And it worked.
Injury pro.
Yeah, Wolf didn't do that. Wolf already had guys in place. And Ted Thompson, they would have guys in place. And then they would get a guy later rounds.
Bring in offensive weapons for anything.
That's true. But Wolf would bring in guy. He had the Donald Drivers and all that. And then the Greg Jennings came along, and the Jordan Nelson's come along, and those guys wouldn't just be oh, hey, I need to rely on him as a rookie. It was kind of like, hey, you're going to get small pieces as a rookie, and all of a sudden you're going to start clicking. Like
No,
I
Dobbs
don't.
is the fourth rounder to rely on that. Was I excited about him? Yes. Was he going to save our season? No. When you trade away an All-Pro, possibly number one wide receiver in the league, and Devontae Adams, you go get people. I'm sorry. I watched Kansas City trade away Tyreek Hill, get draft picks, but guess what? They went and signed Juju Smith-Schuster. They went and signed MVS. They went and got people. They drafted Sky Moore. They packaged stuff together to replace Hill and the components what he was of players differently.
Before we move on real quick, and it's also unfair to expect Rodgers to play like he did 10 years ago with young receivers. I'm just saying because he is getting older.
I'm just a fan, Brett.
Like Tom Brady, you saw like all of a sudden he had this like, oh my God, he's never aging. Well, going to an offense that had all those receivers made it easier on Tom at his age. He didn't have to work as hard. He didn't have to mentally stress.
With Deion Branch and Troy Brown.
Well, I'm just saying, no, I'm talking about like before, like when he gets to Tampa Bay, he's had like elite weapons like he did in 07.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's like, okay, now I can kind of like lay back a little bit. I could just kind of let my receivers make plays. So that makes a big difference. But
Dallas wins by 10. I'm not.
Yeah, Dallas is winning this game.
Nothing. Dallas has been beaten like 6 times in a row now against Rodgers. Dallas defenders have had this circle on their calendar. DeMarcus Lawrence has had this. He's been there for every matchup the last 6 matchups. So he knows Micah Parsons is hyped up. He's a new leader coming in, wants to set an example. Yeah. Tony Pollard's probably going to run for like 150 on us. So, yeah.
So, like, let's look in the next week. And Josh kind of segued us to it. Look at 2 receivers making him look competent. Like, receivers helped him take the next step. So, receivers do help. And, but looking at Cleveland at Miami, Cleveland's coming off a bye week. They can run the football. Miami's run defense has not given up a 100-yard rusher outside of Lamar Jackson and
did not catch it.
Justin Fields. So you're looking at the only 100-yard rusher Miami gave up was to the quarterbacks. Outside of that, they haven't given it to the running backs. However, they haven't faced a running back like Nick Chubb, and this scares me. Their offensive line is good. Miami's front 7
is still there.
Miss, but I love Chubb. I love the trade for Chubb. However, the defense, the beef in the middle, nobody stays in their lane discipline. And if they don't get to Brissett, Justin Fields is the most sacked quarterback in the NFL, and all of a sudden Miami couldn't stop him. So I think it's going to be hopefully they can get the Brissett and get sacks and force turnovers. I think Miami wins this game in a squeaker once again because Miami has not won by double digits, and until they prove to me that they can, I think Miami wins this by 3.
Cleveland's got also getting back Denzel Ward. That's a big piece to their secondary. Mm-hmm. And you got a secondary who's been playing better and better each week. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying Miami's going to lose. I think Miami does win in a close one because Cleveland keeps games close. I mean, they just came up and upended the Bengals.
And Cleveland's
Bengals are still a good team. So.
Myles Garrett scares me against Shell.
Doesn't matter who's across that line.
Myles Garrett scares me with our offensive line. In fact, the Browns' front defensive line scares me against our offensive line. In fact, the high school down the road's defensive line scares me against Miami's offensive line. It's not that bad.
Brett hates the Miami offensive line.
It's not that bad, but they're not the offensive line that's going to step up against good pass rushers. They scare them against good pass rushers. So hopefully they have a plan in place there. I doubt it.
Got to give Tua some help.
I think Tua's going to have a rough day, and I don't think it's going to be necessarily his fault. I think he's going to be harassed all day. That's why I think he's going to have a rough day. But I think the Dolphins win. I don't think it's a pretty offensive game. I think it's more kind of like the Steelers game. But I think Miami wins with a score similar to that. Probably
Cleveland goes into a different environment too. They're going out from that colder weather, possibly getting snow already, going down to Miami, humid. I know that the storm is coming through this weekend, and they're going to get post effects of that. But that heat's going to kick up a little bit. Humidity. Cleveland's not used to that right now, so that's another factor Miami's got going for them.
Yeah. So.
Chargers at Niners.
Yeah. So
Chargers got everyone dinged up. Keenan Allen's dinged up. Mike Williams is dinged up.
Needs to be the Chargers. I don't know why. The last 15 years they've always played injured. But something tells me San Francisco in this game.
San Francisco all day long.
They play ball control. I think San Fran wins this game, even though they lost Jason Verrett again for the season.
Good God, the most cursed player in the entire league history.
I wish it wasn't the case, because we would be talking about a guy who is probably an elite corner at 5'9", like another Antoine Winfield, 5'9", 187 pounds, but he shuts people down. And the dude is like, he's so good. I remember when I watched him at a TCU, I'm like, this kid is the real deal. Like, he's legit. Like, he has all the techniques as a college player. You clean him up a little bit, and he's going to be great. He knew how to make up for his size, and he just can't stay healthy.
He's torn both Achilles down, both ACLs.
Yeah.
I don't even know what he's the bionic man at this point. I don't even know what he's not torn.
Have you seen the meme that goes up to the question, hey, who's a player you wish you could remove injuries from? He's on the top of my list. I would have loved to see Jason Verrett without the injuries.
He's a living proof of glass. That's what he is, of the character Samuel
And it's
Jackson
a shame
plays.
because he is a tough kid when he's on the field. I love watching him play, but loss for them. But I still think San Francisco wins this game.
This is easy. The Chargers' run defense is bad.
Terrible.
Kyle Shanahan, Christian McCaffrey, here you go.
Dude, the Chargers, if I'm the owner of the Chargers, I'm actually looking at Frank Reich.
Oh, Stan Kroenke. Moving back to old San Diego.
If I'm the Chargers, I'm looking like, you know what? I think Frank Reich might be more interesting right now as head coach, but keep an eye on that situation. Now,
I just think Kyle Shanahan has an easy game plan. Run the ball, play action. You're going to get Ayuk back, and I think Debo's going to be back this game, if I'm correct.
It's over. I think, yeah.
Kittle's back to his old self. Yeah.
Yep. Then,
moving on, Seattle at Tampa Bay.
This ought to be a fun game. I actually think Tampa Bay might win this one.
I'm taking Seattle.
I had a hard time with this game. I'm not saying that like it's definitely it was easy Tampa Bay. I just, after that win, I feel like Tampa Bay is starting to.
But that was against a very spiraling down Rams team.
It was.
That's not healthy.
It was, but I really think that this is the type of game where the Buccaneers defense can shine and the Buccaneers offense can actually shine, because the Buccaneers defense has drugged them through this season.
I understand
the offense has been bad, but I think that the Seattle's defense is so bad, but the Buccaneers offensive line's bad, and Seattle's been able to get at the quarterback.
But Tampa Bay's secondary has been like middle of the field or even worse this season. Like, yes, their front seven is solid. Don't get me wrong. But the back end, I'm sorry, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are just going. Geno's just go get it, and they're coming down with it.
So you're taking Seattle. I'm going to take Tampa Bay. For some reason, I feel like Tampa Bay comes out of this game with a win. I don't know why.
Hey, I don't think Tampa Bay's run defense is good, but Kenneth Walker, the way I've watched him run these past 4 weeks, my heart, oh my God.
Oh, and by the way, I think we got our answer of who was the reason that they were winning, Russell Wilson or Pete Carroll.
Okay.
Good talent evaluator too.
The whole NFL community, the fan bases, everything owe an apology to Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
This man has taken Geno Smith, who's been in the league, 10 years, and had a renaissance year with him. Looked exactly like how Geno looked at. Didn't he play West Virginia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Looked like he played West Virginia back in college.
Yep.
And I'm like, Geno Smith, where have you been the last decade?
The thing that sucks for
unlocked
Pete Carroll,
it somehow.
His defenses have struggled. He hasn't really built a defense like he used to. But what is his identity?
Woolen looks good.
Yeah, his identity is pass rush, run the football, ball control, and offense. So he wants to punch in the mouth, get a lead, play tough defense, and get after the quarterback. And it's what he's done all the time. It's working. It works. So, hats off to him. And
Denver, you fools.
Yep. But
so we agree on everything else, but we split on the Tampa Bay Seattle,
which is fair. And then we might split on this one. There's an if in this
Minnesota,
one.
Minnesota, Buffalo.
There's an if. So Minnesota and Buffalo, if Josh Allen sits out. I think
I'm taking Buffalo regardless.
Oh man, this is tough.
Keenum, this is his revenge game.
Yeah.
They got rid of him after he took them to the NFC Championship game. Yep. Now, I'm saying he's not the sole reason, but he was a big part of it coming in for Sam Bradford.
Yep.
No one thought this guy could do it.
And he knows the team very well because the team's very similar what's left there when he played
And
there. So
Minnesota's secondary is atrocious this year.
yeah, and I think they'll have a game plan. Buffalo has a good offense in general. However, where I think Buffalo is going to struggle bad without Josh Allen is their run game.
I
So
mean, yeah, of course.
this will be it now. This could also be a blessing in disguise for Buffalo. Couple things here, real quick, before we got to wrap up. Buffalo plays Miami and the Jets, who they both lost to, in Buffalo coming up in this season. So the resting Josh Allen this week and not playing him through injury. If they lose to an NFC team, not as harsh as a loss.
It's not a big one, yeah.
Right. And if Miami and the Jets win in that sense, they'll all have the tied record. I think the Jets go to first, Miami goes to second, Bills go to third. I don't know how the tiebreaker works there. But in that scenario, the Bills, like, even if they drop the third, they lose to an NFC team. But now they have a chance to beat the Jets and the Dolphins in Buffalo and say, this is our division. We're taking it back.
Clamp the division. Yeah.
Right. So this is really safe time to go ahead and sit him, which is why I think he will sit.
You want them to do that.
Right. If I'm Buffalo, I want them to do that. My fantasy team says, go yourself. Well, I got Tua this week. I got Tua as the backup. We're okay. So, Minnesota, I'll go Minnesota.
Denzel Ward says, hold on, sir.
Well, Tyreek says hi. So I'm going Minnesota, I think, if Josh Allen doesn't play. If Josh Allen plays, I'm probably going Buffalo.
I'm taking Buffalo regardless because Minnesota's back end, Harrison Smith has taken a step back in his career because he's old now. He's taken a lot of damage. You can see
Peterson isn't the same.
Cameron Bynum is not Louis Sané. He is a backup for a reason. He's been a backup for a reason.
Yeah, it's true.
Dantzler and Patrick Peterson's taking a step back. I don't care what the stats say. That dude I've watched has gotten burned a lot of times this season, and a lot of people still defend him.
He's just a name. He's not just a name. He's still a solid corner. He's just he's living off his name.
I watched Minnesota give every chance to Arizona to beat them a couple weeks ago. Arizona loaded the gun themselves, shot him in the foot repeatedly with Kyler Murray.
No, the same thing against the Dolphins. Same thing with the backup quarterback. Minnesota honestly did not really. They won the game, but they did everything in their power to lose that game and still won. So, but I have had a coach tell me that that's a sign of a good team. Even when they're having a bad day, they still find a way to beat a bad team. So he said, but a team like that doesn't find a way out of having a bad day and has multiple bad days is a sign of a not very well coached team too. So
I'm going to say this. Sean McDermott's no slouch. That dude,
nope,
he can coach. So Minnesota, if Josh Allen doesn't play,
be damned.
This is the fourth backup QB if Josh Allen sits that Minnesota would play this year. That's a big freaking stat. I'm sorry. Facing four backup QBs, and they haven't beaten anyone over 500 all season long.
True.
The one team they faced, Philadelphia dog walked them.
That's true.
That whole first half, even the second half, Kirk couldn't do anything because he was fearing for his life.
Kirk didn't do anything against the Dolphins either. And let me put something in perspective. This might change my pick to Buffalo. Miami played Buffalo in Miami. Both safeties, both corners out. Tua had 187 yards. He still had a decent day efficiency-wise, but the Bills' front seven got after Tua, and that secondary played very well in the zone because they have a great defensive coordinator, Leslie Frazier, and they have a very, very good coaching staff. The Bills are, I want to say a well-coached team because they're undisciplined, but defensively, they're so well-coached. It's so good up front. They do their job. And it's
a revenge game. He got fired by Minnesota, too.
That's true. It's true.
Von Miller's playing. Ed Oliver's playing.
All right. I'm going Buffalo in this one.
Tremaine Edmonds is playing. Yep. AJ Espinosa is playing. Mm-hmm. All these guys that are here, like, it's just I can't.
And I'm with Josh. I want to see the run game without Josh Allen. I want to see
that's a factor. But
James Cook. I want to see Zach Moss. I want to see oh my God.
They traded Zach Moss to Indianapolis.
They traded Zach Moss.
They have Naheem Hines.
Naheem Hines and Singletary. I want to see them feature those guys.
But they can use it to their advantage. They know Minnesota's going to load the box. Play action. Buffalo's offensive line is solid. They have kept a lot until the Jets game. I mean, I'll say that.
It's solid with Josh Allen. I'm wondering how it looks with Case Keenum. Case Keenum does get the ball out quick though. And yes, Josh, I really want to see them use James Cook.
Yeah,
I don't
James
know why
Cook
they're
could be
not.
fun, but they're going to put him below Naheem Hines because Naheem Hines he's as a veteran, he's going to come in, he knows the playbook, he's going to be able to be good to go. I just think with having Diggs, Davis, all these Knox, all these weapons, Case Keenum had that in Minnesota with Diggs. Oh, look at that. A familiar connection he had to Minnesota. He's playing with Diggs again. He knows how he plays already. I'm telling you, Keenum is not a guy they need to sleep on in Minnesota. I hope Keenum drops 350 and 4 tutties on Minnesota.
Holy shit. Could you imagine? Revenge game. 4 touchdowns.
I want it.
You said 4 touchdowns?
4 tutties.
Why is that? But it's believable though. With that
Because
offense.
it's Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis,
Yep.
Dawson Knox. You can use Hines.
Singletary, Hines.
Have a 3-headed monster with Singletary, with Hines and Cook.
I am so glad that they didn't get a better back like Christian McCaffrey because holy shit, that offense is already good. But yeah, I do want to see how they are. Case Keenum.
Kareem Hunt. People didn't know that.
I wanted. See, that would have sucked too. I wanted actually Case Keenum in Miami as a backup because he's a good backup. He knows that he gets rid of the ball. He knows the offense well. Yep, he does his job, and he's efficient. That's all he needs to be as a backup quarterback. And
there's no bias here. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm definitely going. I'm going with. I'll go with Buffalo on this one.
I just even with Poirier and Hideout, the safeties they've had in place have been freaking amazing.
Well, I think one of them's back. Which one's out for the year?
No, Poirier isn't playing. His elbow dude looks like a sharp knife sticking out.
One of them
is not playing. Hyde's still on IR. But Tre'Davious White,
he's in. So yeah, White. They've been missing White. They've
been White, AJ going to be matching each other probably the whole game.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But that's going to be interesting to watch that matchup. Jefferson will get, I think, the best of them a couple times, but that's going to be fun to watch. But that's it for us, guys. So Dave and I only actually split on the Tampa Bay Seattle game, and that was like splitting hairs because I think it's going to be a close game. I think that one's like a hit or miss one. But we pretty much he convinced me of Buffalo, and
there's just still too much in play.
Can't believe he got a Dolphins guy to pick Buffalo, but that's why we're here because we're non-biased. That's why we did this show together. Because
no, Alex thinks I was biased because it's against Minnesota.
No, because you picked Dallas over Green Bay. So I picked Miami to win by 3 against the Browns. If I wanted to be biased, I'd be like Evan and say Miami wins by 1,000. But
I also am not a big fan of San Fran. But guess what? I still picked them. It's just they're the better team.
It is. So, but that's it for us, guys. Thank you so much for
tuning in.
Yes. Sorry for having a couple weeks off.
You know what?
We apologize.
Brett, hold on. Josh, don't. Because it's not me you're going to piss off. It's called your father, Aaron Rodgers, is going to flip the switch when no one expects it.
Oh,
and it's secondary, and old Diggs tries to go for a move on a double route, and there goes Samari Toure for a 75-yard touchdown. No, I'm kidding, folks. Probably not going to happen. But
you never know. It is the NFL, dude. It is the NFL, so you just never know. And yes, shout out to our sponsor, Badass Beard Company. Sorry,
Josh
you guys.
The producer, and he's letting us know.
I'm just telling you, man. He's good.
Badass he's a company man now.
Veteran owned. So shout out to them, especially on Veterans Day, guys. That's it for us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time.